I want to bring to your attention an issue in relation to Tisrara National School in Four Roads in County Roscommon, as the school is in danger of losing a third teacher in September 2019 due to new guidelines. They are a DESH school where 1/5 of the pupils are members of the travelling community, with a current enrolment of 49, but the threshold of 51 will apply to the retention of the existing third mainstream classroom teacher. Now, losing a teacher would be detrimental to the fabric of the rural school. Furthermore, a threshold of 17 pupils applies for the retention of the existing second mainstream classroom teacher in a two-teacher school. This means that the school with a projected enrolment of less than 50 for September 2019 will be allocated the same number of mainstream teachers as a school with 17 pupils, which simply does not make sense. The Parents' Association of Tisrara National School have fought very hard in relation to this matter, and a petition from the parents, school and community members in support of the retention of the third teaching post has also been sent to the Minister for Education's department. I would urge you to examine this situation. I would argue that due to the extenuating circumstances, the school should be permitted to hold on to their third teacher or an extension period of grace to allow them to increase their numbers. The loss of a third teacher would be devastating, and the community, and particularly the children attending what is truly, without question, a fantastic school, it would be shocking if they were to lose this teacher. The school currently has 49 students, with 13 leaving 6th class in June and potentially 10 students due to enrol for September 2019-2020 calendar year. The community is very disappointed to lose a teacher based on such a shortfall. And that, Minister, is, in a few words, the situation. I'm sure you've come across these before. I know in the past, when Minister Bruton was there, he did grant an extension to a certain school in Roscommon after I made a request. And I'm very hopeful in those situations that we have here and I've outlined to you that we will be able to do the same here, because certainly it is needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Carlock, and I thank Deputy Murphy for raising this important issue. I know how important the school is to Deputy Murphy, and as the Deputy has said, I think we all have many of these cases throughout our political career. And it gives me an opportunity. Can I first of all apologise for Minister McHugh? He's attending a very important education conference in Washington, and I think it's important that he would be at that conference, and he sends his apologies in relation to not being here this afternoon, Deputy Murphy. And I want to thank you also for giving me an opportunity to house to position in relation to the staffing of primary schools, in particular Tisrara National School, Four Roads in Roscommon. The key factor, as the Deputy knows, for determining the level of staffing resources provided at individual school level 2019, which is available through the Department of Education's website. The staffing schedule operates in a very clear and transparent manner and treats all similar types of schools equally, irrespective of their location. While Budget 2012 increased the appointment and retention ratios for small schools, that is, schools with up to 4 classroom teachers, improvement to the staffing of these schools has been made in the last number of years. Improved retention thresholds for 2nd, 3rd and 4th classroom teachers has also been approved with the appointment and retention thresholds for 2-teacher schools situated 8 kilometres or more from the nearest school of the same type of patronage or language of instruction were introduced for 2015-2016 school year. Budget 2017 announced 2 adjustments in relation to 1-teacher schools, where the school is the sole primary school on the island. The school will be able to appoint a 2nd teacher. In relation to single schools generally, with the enrolment of 15 or more pupils, the school can apply for Staffing Appeals Board for a 2nd post where the single teacher has children across 6 or more class groups. Small schools have also benefited from the improvements to the staffing schedule introduced in 2016 and 2018, which has brought the teacher allocation ratio in all primary schools to the most favourable ever at primary level. The staffing arrangements include an appeals mechanism for schools to submit appeals under certain criteria to an independent appeal board. The school, referred to by Deputy Murphy, Tisrara National School, currently has 3 classroom teachers. The school has also a special education teacher. The enrolment required to retain the 3rd teacher, as the Deputy has outlined, is 51 pupils. On the 3rd of September 2018, the school had an enrolment of 49 and are due to have their teaching staff reduced by 2 in coming September. The school submitted an appeal to the April meeting of the Primary Staffing Appeals Board. In the appeal, the school projected an enrolment of 47. As this projection is less than the required 51, the appeal was deemed ineligible by the Appeals Board. The Primary Staffing Appeals Board operates, as you know, Deputy, independent of the Department of Education, and their decision is final. The thing I want to emphasise here today, the Primary Staffing Appeals Board will meet again in June. I think that should be noted, and again in October. Should the enrolment of the school increase to 51 or more, the school may submit a new appeal to the Appeals Board for the retention of the 3rd teacher. Can I thank you, Deputy, again for the opportunity to outline the process here in the House.
Thank you. Murphy.
Thank you again, Chair. And I mightn't need the 2 minutes, but Minister, can I just point out to you that the current enrolment of the school and for the foreseeable future will be made up of 20% of the travelling community. That's 20%. 37% of the total enrolment of 49 pupils are in receipt of school support, which we estimate to be higher than the national average for a school of its size. And I checked this out and I think I'd be right. 16 pupils receive school support, 2 pupils receive school support plus. You'll understand all of that. Now, I'm not going to go into the various individual supports because I don't want to bring it down to a personal level, but they're all there. They're a fact of life. They're on the record. And please note that with 25 plus pupil class sizes with diverse educational, physical, emotional, psychological needs, it puts a strain on the commitment required for 2 teachers to manage and teach classes of its makeup. And also, I think it's worth noting, with the needs of the school, there's only 1 special needs assistant being sanctioned, which seems very unfair and increases the health and safety risk of the school. So these are really unusual circumstances for a school. And I would be hoping that was done with 1 school before, in a very similar situation to this, when Minister Bruton was Minister for Education, and I was very, very grateful to him for doing it or involving or listening to the case. And I know that you'll say it's independent of the Minister, but I would hope that this would be looked at again, and that we certainly would end up in a situation where a school in this situation, which really has the unusual circumstances, would not lose its 3rd teacher. And thank you again for taking time to listen.
Thank you very much indeed, Deputy. And can I say again to you, I think all of us have seen similar cases in our own constituencies. I'm sure we've represented national schools who were in a similar position. And what I would say to you, Deputy, here in relation to this, as I've pointed out in my closing statement, there is another appeals process in June and in October. I certainly would encourage the Board of Management or the local community to see if they can get those extra students to bring them to the threshold. I have advised parents of that in my own constituency and Board of Management, and it has worked, that they've reached that magic figure of 51. I suppose you have to have some cut-off period there. I understand where you're coming from in relation, as what you've said yourself, the school has a lot of issues and maybe has a special case. I think you could make the same case for many other schools in rural areas as well. But what I'd be saying to you, and this is on a personal capacity, is that the school board and the parents would get together, try to get that magic number. It is difficult, I know that, particularly in a rural area, where there are probably other adjoining schools as well, and sometimes if you look for pupils off one school, you rob somebody else's other school, and that is an issue out there. But there may be parents that wish to, send their students to that school. As you pointed out yourself, it has a very good reputation. It's a I think it's a 3-teacher school, and sometimes parents like to send their their children to those schools. So I think that would be one issue to look at there. And of course, if you are making another appeal, if it's possible, I was disappointed to see that the numbers are gone down from 49 to 47. I think it would be much easier to get 2 children than to get 4 in a rural area. But again, I would make that appeal to you. I will bring back the sentiments of what you've said here this evening to Minister McHugh, and I will outline exactly what you've said, given the circumstances in that school. Everybody wants to ensure that you can keep the pupil-teacher ratio in your school, because particularly this is probably a very good school. The 3 teachers are there, and they're doing a really good job. And I certainly will bring that back, Deputy Murphy, to Minister McHugh and see what you can do. But I think there's a lot the community can do for themselves as well to see if they can increase the number in the threshold. I know it's not easy. It's never easy in these circumstances. But I think that's one area you should look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.